I want to thank you so much, Phyllis, for joining me today. Everyone, this is Phyllis Peterson. I've met you via Facebook. It was just sort of just a happenstance type of situation, and you reached out and we connected like immediately, and we've spent some time together speaking about sort of the challenges you have faced over the past several years. And the one thing I've absolutely noticed about you, you're a quiet storm. You have a strong voice, but there's something in you that's powerful, that lies deep, and you don't want to mess with that part of you just don't want to tap that, because the things that you're passionate about. Yeah, I love
and
you've and we're going to sort of, if it's okay with you, jump right in.
Okay.
Let's start with, and the whole purpose of even having this interview is to push your foundation and what you've been, I guess, fighting for the past couple of years. So let's start at where it all began. What happened the moment you found out? Let's start there. Your son, Aramis. Where were you?
I was in church.
Okay. You got a phone call?
I got a phone call from Melissa. And I got a text at first. And when I saw the text, she misspelled the word shot. And I'm just like, what? What y'all want? You know, because her and Brad was together a lot. That was his girlfriend at the time. Mm-hmm. So I'm sitting there and I just didn't pay. And I'm just like, what now? What do y'all want? There were 2 peas in a pod. Yeah. And then when she texted back, she corrected the word shot. And I'm like, what? Clearly, I looked at the number again. This got to be a joke. Because she was texting me from, I think she was texting me from his phone. Okay. And I got up. And by the time I could get up to walk to the back door, she was screaming and crying. And she's like, Brad's been shot. And I'm like, what? Calm down. Where are you? You know, what's going on? And she was screaming and she was crying. I said, where is he? Have you called 911? And she was like, yeah. I was like, oh, my God. I said, give me the address. Where are you? Mm-hmm. And she couldn't.
What did your body experience in that moment when she said those words?
I was just running off adrenaline and just trying to think straight. But when she said, I don't think he made it, I fainted.
Right there.
Mm-hmm.
Right there. At church?
Yep.
What are your next memories?
My next memories was they were getting me up. They were picking me up. And I think the ambulance was called. And I'm just like, I'm not going in no ambulance. Somebody get me to where my son is. Okay. I had one of the ladies at the church. We jumped in her car, and it was storming so bad. It was one of the worst storms that we had ever had. It was sleeting. It was storming so bad. So I was trying to get her back on the phone, and I'm just like, tell me where you were. And we were just trying to drive through the storm. We were trying to get there, and we hit 20. And when we hit one of the exits that they told us to get off on, and then I saw an ambulance going the opposite direction.
And what was going through your body? Because
I was praying.
Mother,
I was praying.
Are you feeling your son at the same time? Mm-hmm. You're questioning.
I was praying. I was praying. I was praying out loud the entire time. And then I saw an ambulance coming, going the opposite direction. I'm like, okay, that's him. They got him. They're getting him to the hospital. But I'm like, keep going. And I kept trying to. They were all upset. I'm like, please, what is the address? Because, you know, I don't know anything about over there, about Morehouse, West End. So as we got closer, I saw the police. I saw the SWAT team. I didn't even give her an opportunity to just completely stop. I jumped out of the car, and I just went running. I just took off running to the scene. I saw the SWAT team there, and some kind of way I maneuvered myself through them because it was so many officers out there. And when I got up there, when I got close enough, somebody said, hey, catch her. And they got me, but I could see his feet, I could see the legs. And
what happened in that moment?
I asked the officer, who was that? Is that my son? Give me the name of that person. And he was like, ma'am, I can't tell you anything. There's an investigation. I said, stop it. Give me the name of the person. Is that my son? So my oldest son, he called. He was on the phone, and he stayed in Cherokee County. And he heard me on the phone, and he was crying. I said, listen to me. You put yourself in my position. What if this was you? What if this was your child? You tell me if this is my son, you know. And he was like, ma'am, let me get my supervisor. I can't tell you anything. And when he turned around to say that to me, I looked at him. I said, you just answered my question. And he said, why? I said, you're crying. The officer was crying. And I said, you just answered my question.
And what did he say? What did he do?
He was like, I didn't say anything, ma'am. I said, no, but you're crying. You're crying. So by that time, they walked me back. I don't know. I think one of his best friends got to the scene. I don't know. Somebody got me, and my son, my oldest son, just to hear him cry and sob and just cry and cry. I just, I'm just like, oh my God. I couldn't cry. I didn't know what to do. So from there,
comfort him?
Not at that time, because he was at his house and everybody was,
Okay.
It was a storm, so nobody was out. Okay. That's why he couldn't. They had the roads shut down where he was, so he couldn't get there. So I think one of his best friends came to the scene and got me and took me back to his condo, which was not far from the scene. And I got my grandson, got Alyssa. Her family had gotten there. So,
did you know that he had passed? Did you feel that he had passed before they even told you?
Yeah.
You felt it. And then everything changed.
Yeah. I talked to Alyssa, and she was crying, and Aiden was like, my daddy threw his hands up, and they just kept shooting him. He kept shooting him. So, I didn't know what my next move was going to be. I didn't know if I was coming or going. My best friend Jennifer, she immediately facilitated everything. She came and got me. She worked for the funeral home. She was Willie Watkins' personal assistant, so I didn't have to go and identify the body. She took care of everything from there. I spoke to the investigator, and my energy wasn't right there, because I was listening to her, and I'm just like, something's wrong. So we moved along, went through a process that I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And I certainly didn't have anybody that was very forthcoming even to assist me or to even say, come on.
So the advocacy group, there was no one there to sort of help you guide through it.
They were just like, here, you got to fill these papers. They didn't explain anything to me. Hell, I didn't even know why I was there, and come to find out, it was like, I'm like, I don't, I really didn't need y'all, and yeah, it was just horrible. So fast forward this. I promised myself no other mother would go through this. None. And it was just like, and these are our people.
Okay.
Wasn't compassionate at all. Just a job, something to get paid. I didn't know what the next step was.
And no one was there to walk you through it, so you had to figure it out on your own.
Absolutely not. The DA, not the DA, but the investigator, she fiddled and fobbled because she's a liar.
Okay. So what were your very first challenges that you remember sort of navigating through this entire process?
My very first challenge was I was so numb, and this DA was, not the DA, excuse me, let me take that back. The investigator, Detective Casey, was so brutally rude and nasty.
Why?
And that's to be seen. And she didn't know this side of the A personality that I have because I was numb. But my instinct was just like, something's not right here.
Okay.
Initially she tried to play us apart, and she just did a lot.
What do you mean play us apart?
You need to tell Alyssa she needs to tell the truth. So to make me think that Alyssa had something to do, and I knew she didn't. But, as we move along, it all unfolds.
Okay.
And my intuition did not lead me wrong.
Okay. So talk about what was going on when they were trying to make your son seem as if he was sort of a partaker in what happened or at fault for whatever reason. Talk about that a little bit. How did that even come about?
Because that's what they do on black crimes.
Okay.
That's why they were so lax with it.
Okay.
They were so lax with it.
Okay.
So, we all have to question everything. And I'm just like, I know Brad didn't get into anything. And why would he even have, the kids there? Why would he even, if he thought that something, it just didn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
But, after a week, I didn't hear anything. There was not a news article. There was not a newspaper article. It was just like it never had happened.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, nah, this is not about to happen. Not with mine. Not with my son. It's not going to happen. Mm-hmm. They were more concerned about him driving a BMW.
So they stereotyped him.
Oh, yeah, they stereotyped him. That came from somebody that looked like us.
Where did you get that information from, that this process was happening with your son?
From Detective Casey. That's where I got it from. How was he getting his money? How was he doing this? How was he paying for a BMW?
What about the person that actually committed the crime? Where were the questions for that person?
There was none, because they didn't have anybody, and nor were they looking. So anyway, I reached out to Chris Stewart. Chris Stewart got his investigators on it. And then Mark Weaney. And everything changed.
How so?
They had just let this young man out less than 24 hours. And they hid that from me. He had violent charges with a gun by a convicted felon. They hid that from me.
And where was the investigator when all this came out? What was she saying?
It got to the point where she wouldn't talk to me anymore. She talked to one of the family members and talked about me, that I was interfering in a case, and she started to have me arrested. But we got a part B to that too, because I ain't done yet. So that's where that was.
Wow.
That's where that was. So it unfolded.
So you lost your son, and now there's a fight that you have to go
There's
through.
a
You're
fight.
still numb. You don't
Yeah.
know what to do. There's no advocacy group that's coming to help you
Nobody.
navigate anything.
Mm-mm.
All this is happening at one time.
Yeah.
Where was your mind? How are you holding it together? Because you have other children, you have your grandchildren. Where did you fall in?
We couldn't be around each other.
How so?
Brian would come to my house. I would go to his house. We just, because I would cry. I was crying so much. I was mad. He was mad. I got into my mind that okay, I ain't no street person, but I'm ready. You know, y'all gonna do something.
Okay.
You're not gonna let this one go up under. I don't have nothing to lose.
So what was the next steps?
My next step is once Mark Weenie got on it, I didn't even want to talk to him initially, and Chris called me, and he was like, Phyllis, Mark Weenie doesn't get involved unless there's something big that's going on. So please talk to him. And I did.
Okay.
So we started off with the cameras. There were no cameras at Clark University or any of the universities over there. He unfolded that.
There was supposed to be.
There was supposed to be.
How do you know that?
Because Kasim said it. When he ran for office,
There was money for it.
there was money for it. He said it.
Where did the money go?
I have no idea. I reached out to his office. I spoke to a young lady by the name of Andrea, which was his personal assistant, I think, at that time. At the scene, you know, I called the commissioner at the scene of the crime because I wanted to know, was this my son, Marvin Arrington? And he was like, oh my God, Phyllis. And I think he called Woody Sampson, which is a friend, an ex-husband of my friend girl, Jennifer. And it just kind of unfolded from there.
So these two major things unfolded. This person that committed this crime was released.
Oh, yeah.
And committed this crime 24 hours.
Less than 24
hours. And then we uncover there was money for these cameras that was never installed, that was promised. Both of these things coming out at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And during trial, I found that the ambulance actually got lost. So on the 911 call, I listened. He was screaming at Alyssa. He was like, walk back to the end of the road and tell me what you see, because they were on the road that was adjacent to that one. They got lost. We found out later that there were college students from Clark is the one that kind of drove by and found him out there in the road. Okay. Yeah, I had a chance to meet them. Okay. Just a lot came out during the trial.
How long did it take from the time the crime was committed that they actually caught him?
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
2 weeks. They got him.
Did that bring any relief?
None, because I wasn't sure that he did it. Okay. Mm-hmm. Because there was another person that was with him.
Okay.
So I'm like, well, let me make sure that he did this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I put my feelers out there in the street. I'm just like, no, this guy's not going to get off. If he is telling on this one here, it take two to rob a person, you know. Yeah. You're not going to get off either. Mm-hmm. He could have been the one that pulled the trigger. Mm-hmm. But as I, you know, dug deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, it got bigger. Mm-hmm.
How was the trial?
Bigger. The trial was long. Kara Conbury, and that entire team, they did their due diligence.
You were pleased with their work?
Pleased is an understatement.
Okay.
Yep.
This seemed to be the first group of people to actually come.
They started this case completely over.
Okay.
Under the new administration of Fonnie Willis.
Okay.
And they worked hard. They even found officers that no longer worked for APD.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this has been 4.5 years now. And everybody that I talked to, it had been passed down from DA to DA. This is a hard case to prove. This is going to be a very hard case.
Because there's no cameras.
There are no cameras. There are no ballistics. You know.
It was an uphill battle.
It was an uphill battle. And then we got Detective Casey that botched the entire investigation, not closing and sealing evidence.
Basic stuff.
Yeah. I can keep my opinion to myself for a later date.
Okay.
But I hope nobody has to go through that.
Okay.
And especially her, because she has a child.
Okay.
Because karma don't have an expiration date, you know.
Mm-hmm.
None.
So I was able to watch a clip of the actual, when they actually did was it the sentencing or?
Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
What was that like?
I was out of my mind because my attorney, Shelley Hawkins, had got to the courthouse before I did. And she called. She said, they're not letting us in. We're going to have to watch it in the hallway. And I'm like, no, I'm going in there. You know.
Why was that decision made?
I think for security reasons. I think for security reasons.
Okay. I saw the moment on your face. I guess everything probably just came rushing back.
It did.
Okay.
It did. I think it took her maybe 45 minutes to decide. She had sent them to lunch, the jurors, and they came back and it's like, no, we don't need to go to lunch. We have a verdict.
Okay.
And by the time I could get through checkpoint, the advocate was texting me that they had found him guilty on all counts.
And that felt like what?
That felt in my heart at that time, and I didn't think that I had that in me to feel some type of empathy.
Really?
I did that because they should have kept him in jail.
Okay.
He was a gang member, and clearly he had some problems.
Okay.
And as the investigation went along, I found out that he had been in trouble month after month, from October all the way up until then, getting out, in and out, in and out, in and out.
What does that tell you as a mom, a child that is constantly, well, he's not a child, but.
No, but what it told me is that they didn't give a damn.
Okay.
They didn't care. I know they knew he was a gang member. There's not a doubt on my mind, because I went after the
But
judge.
why empathy?
Because he was broken. And this is another life that's gone.
So in all this turmoil and all this botching of the investigation and all this uphill battle, you get to the point of resolution and you feel empathy?
I did. And I never thought that that was going to happen.
You didn't expect it?
I didn't expect that. No, I didn't.
Okay.
He was cocky. But I knew that was a defense mechanism. You know, this gang, they went in and they went beyond trying to protect and lie.
Okay.
But the truth all came out. So I sit back and I'm just like, had they just kept him in there, and got him some help and some intervention, he shouldn't have never been let out on the street. You know, these are two lives that's gone. And I know my son didn't come from that type of brokenness. Yeah, we've been going through some things, but not that type of brokenness.
Where did Juicy Foundation, where did that concept come from? Why is it important to you? I want you to tell a little bit about what it's about and
Okay.
the concept of it.
Aiden was my grandson that witnessed his son's death. He was in the car nearby. And my nickname to him from as a baby was Juicy, because he drank up all the juice. So his name was Juicy. And that's what we call him, Juicy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an acronym for Justice for Us Innocent Crying Youth.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
When did that come to you? When were you inspired? What inspired you?
I think it was May of 2018, the following year after Aramis was killed. And I started journaling, and I started looking, I'm like, there's nothing out here for us. You know, if you can't relate or haven't been through this, you know, it's just nothing out here, especially for the kids.
So why you go through all this turmoil, the uphill battle, you got the conviction, the first emotion that you felt was empathy.
I did.
Now you're trying to help people?
I did. I think that when his attorney spoke, he said that that particular gang wasn't just a gang to him.
Okay.
It was more like a family.
Okay.
And
what did that mean to you when you heard that it's like a family? How do you take that as a mom?
He had something lacking.
Okay.
And you know, to fit in, you know, he wanted to fit in, you know. And as, you know, as I have studied abroad, I see that a lot that's happening at younger ages. They're joining these gangs to fit in.
Okay. So there was enough room for compassion for...
It was.
How?
It was.
How? Because the sadness is still deep. How is there room for that?
God. I didn't even think I had that in me anymore.
Really?
Because I was mad at him.
But you had empathy.
Yeah. We good now.
We good.
Me and God good. We best friends now.
Okay.
Yeah. And I want people to know it's okay to be mad with God because you don't understand. I'm sitting in church.
Yeah.
How you going you really?
Right.
So
you started on a path so no other mother or father will ever have to.
Yeah. I think that if we can just go back to the old days.
Okay.
I'm an only child. And I just know when I would go and do something, me and my cousin, pull off the neighbor's plum tree, which was my grandmother's best friend.
Right.
And I got caught getting those plums. That's all. We wanted some plums. Yeah. I got it there. And as soon as I hit that yard, she was waiting on me. She was waiting on both of us at the front door. Right. It takes a village to raise our communities. We need to get this justice system out of it because nobody wins here. Nobody wins. They stand to make money, and there's another life that's going on. So if we see these things, we see it because we get the warning. We see it. Right. You know, you all on Facebook. We killing niggas out here. That's not cute.
No. So what was the next steps with the foundation, and what have you done as far as the cameras in that area?
Well,
which it seems, you know, we're talking, but that's a lot. You're still grieving your son. You have the empathy. Now you're creating the foundation. You're not done yet.
No, I'm not done.
Okay.
I'm not done.
Explain that. Why aren't you done?
Because there's some accountability that needs to be held.
Okay.
And people that has these positions that has been sworn in to protect and to serve us, they get laxed. Okay. They get cocky. And they don't do their jobs. You know, we talk about Black Lives Matters, and they do. All lives matter. But the people that did something to me look like me. Okay, because they didn't care. They relaxed.
What you've had some good news lately as far as the area where your son was shot and killed. You want to talk about that?
I was out one afternoon, and Mr. Dickinson came up to me. He was just like, "Why do you look so familiar?" And I said, "Oh, I'm going to tell him. You probably seen my face around a couple of times. So I asked him a question. I said, let me ask you this. What are you going to do about cameras being over there where those historical black colleges are? I said, my son was killed there. And he was like, oh, goodness. He said, I want you to take my private cell number. And then a few days later, I spoke with him and we talked. He said, Miss Peterson, I can't bring your son back. He said, but this is what I've done. I've raised over $500,000 to put cameras over there.
Wow.
Where your son was killed at and other needed areas.
What did that mean to you?
And he said, and I hope this makes you smile. And I cried and smiled at the same time. Yeah.
So let's go back to how in the world you find the strength to go through this, find your way through the process, get through the conviction, the empathy, the foundation. Now you have the cameras. Where did that come from?
Valerie, there isn't a syllabus. I just stayed on my knees.
Okay.
Because there were times that I wanted to take my own life.
Okay.
There were times that I was going to take somebody else's life,
Yeah.
And I'm not even that type of person, the people that know me.
But the sadness and the anger.
But it was just like, something's got to be done,
Okay.
And the previous administration, we were all in the same social circle. I reached out to him, and what he came back and said to me, that was just like my breaking point. Something has to be done. So we got Fonnie Willis is in the seat, and I don't know her personally, but I can say this. What I have seen so far, she's doing everything that she said that she was going to do.
Okay.
And what meant the most to me is when she got on air and she cleared my son's name, that he clearly did not come from that type of family.
On camera.
On camera. He was not a gang member. He was at the wrong place at the wrong time. And that person shouldn't have been let out of jail. And that meant the world to me. Because see, what happens with these black on black crimes, oh, well, he must have been doing something, Even got to the point, oh, that boy robbed somebody. Well, what did he need to rob somebody? Who does a crumb snatching move like that?
Right.
Who robbed somebody with his kids in the car? Who does that? So that was a lie that a lot of people had to hear that from, and every time I heard it, they got it.
Okay.
I said, crumb snatchers do that.
Yeah.
They worked on it and they got to the bottom of it. He did not.
Okay.
He did not, was not a part of the game. None of that. Just at the wrong place at the wrong time. Okay. And I appreciate her for doing that. It takes a strong individual to come into office, and there's so much stuff and junk out there that you got to clean up from the last administration. And just as of yesterday or last night, she brought it to a grand jury with the killing of an inmate in Fulton County, and they were deputies there. She did exactly what she said she was going to do.
She did.
She did it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm just so proud of her. She didn't brush that stuff on, wasn't brushed under the rug. She just, she went in there. And a lot of people may not want to touch that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Okay. And she's making sure she's, working and, with an intervention and, trying to help people. And I'm just appalled by her. I love her. I love Carol Convery. She has the most sweetest, meek voice. but she comes like a thief in the night. There was no getting around how she presented that case. And I'm just like, you know, she's just the totally opposite of me, because I'm just like, she got to fuss at this. She got to get up in their face. She got to tell this some game. Clear, sweet, just humble. And, you know, I told her, I said, whoever your parents are, they did a great job.
So as this interview wraps up, I want to talk about the bill that you're writing, but I also want you to tell us about Aramis.
Aramis,
what do you miss the most about Aramis?
God, arguing with him. He knew, he's so much like me.
Yeah.
We bump heads all the time. We bump heads all the time.
What was he like as a kid?
He was the same way. He was the same way. And as growing up, I'm like, Aramis, you got to go to law school. You know everything. He knew everything. He'd argue with a stop sign. But he was just so loving and caring. If he had, you got. He didn't have, and that was, you know, some of the downfall, because, you know, definitely wasn't a street person. If so, he wouldn't have went over there unprepared.
What was his strengths? What were the things he was good at?
He was the backbone of our family.
Was he?
Yes, he was.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he was the backbone of our family.
Okay.
Yeah, even when I would be going through something, he was like, get up, Mom. Go do some exercise. Go do some jump jacks. Go out there. I'm like, what were you? Hush. Shut up. Be quiet. You're getting on my nerve. He knew everything. It's just...
Do you hear his voice?
I hear it all the time. All the time. All the time.
Did his voice help you through it?
Now it is.
Now it is.
Now it is. Yeah, now it is.
How is your family recovering? How is your grandchildren recovering?
We are, my grandchildren, we try to laugh. We try to keep him alive. This is like a different phase. Okay. You know, my mom still hasn't gotten to where she needs to be with it. We all got our separate, different battles. Okay. And it's something that just doesn't go away overnight. I cry daily.
Do you?
Yeah. But where I am now, I just have to keep doing this work. I have to keep doing this work because that's keeping him alive. That's keeping me alive. You know, and the moment I stop, then I'm going to get, you know, depressed. Okay. And I just want to love on other mothers. I want them to know that they're not by themselves. Okay. Because I went through this by myself.
That's hard.
And I chose it because people get tired of hearing you cry and talk about stuff like this. So I'm just like, I'm not going to hand my stuff over to anybody. I'm going to get through this. I'm going to get through this. Okay. You know, even my counselors, they got tired. I cussed them out. I've probably been through about 20. My last one, she saw the Facebook post yesterday. Diane John Baptiste, and she is awesome. She was my last therapist, and she made a comment, and I said, "Yep, thank you so much for putting up with me, because you know Phil could be a handful." Yeah. I mean, we would literally we would go at it, and all she was doing was trying to help me. But you know, if you hadn't gone through it, I don't want to hear it. You can't tell me how to feel.
What would you tell other mothers?
I would tell other mothers to own your pain.
Own your pain.
Don't let nobody tell you that there's a time limit on grieving. Okay. Because that's a part of you that you'll never get back. You know, own your pain, and you grieve the way that you want to. Okay. You don't ever let anybody come and tell you, oh, well, it's been 3 years, it's been 4 years. What does that mean? Yeah. Guard your energy. Keep your circle small. Okay. Because when things like this happen, it's not that you find out who a person is. You found out who they aren't. Yeah.
Have you made very strong alliances since?
I have.
Yeah.
I have. They think I have anyway.
So let's talk about the bill.
Okay.
So you want a bill to protect, or what is it your bill about?
I want, when these young men or ladies come in to the system, automatically they need to be screened if they're gang members.
Okay.
They need to find out what's going on in their background. Because something, and with Fulton County, they let murderers out just like this because they're so overworked and don't have, I don't know if I would say funding, but just don't have the staff. So a lot of times people, they go through those changes and they get away with what they think they're getting away with. And had I not been consistent, this would have been one of the cases.
Okay.
You just can't look over everything. You got to be thorough with this.
Okay.
You got to treat this just like it would have been in the suburbs.
Okay.
Because definitely, had it been out in Cobb or anywhere else, he wouldn't have never got out of jail.
Is running for office in your future?
Good girls never tell.
Everybody is wondering. So that's something that we should watch for, maybe?
Yep.
Okay.
Good girls never tell.
Phyllis, thank you so much.
Thank you, Valerie.
Absolutely. Beauty, strength, power, and all that. And I hope that your message gets across to all the mothers that have suffered in the way that you suffer, and that you bring, healing into their life. And thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thank you. Thank you, Valerie.
Absolutely. Hope to have you back on the additional progress that you make, and you make consistent progress.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.